In the deep quiet before dawn, your bedroom holds its breath. No alarm has sounded yet. You sit upright, spine straight, fists loose at your sides. A single sentence cuts through the fog of sleep. Your chest tightens, your jaw clenches. But instead of surrendering to the surge, you reach for the reins. You hold them. You feel the leather bite into your palms. The emotion trembles, but it does not bolt. This is the moment, the pivot between chaos and command. When dawn breaks and thought stands in silence, raw emotion transforms into directed force. No drama, no delay, just the quiet hum of dominion. You are here because you sense the truth beneath the noise. Every day, forces pull at you. Fear whispers you are not ready. Anger insists you were wronged. Apathy drags you toward the couch. These are not enemies. They are wild horses, untamed. They will trample your schedule, scatter your focus, and leave you breathless at sunset, wondering why nothing moved forward. But trained, they carry you farther than willpower ever could. The mind is the trainer. Emotion is the power. And the daily practice, the ritual you will learn here, is the harness that turns frenzy into velocity. We will walk through 4 territories. First, you will name your target with such precision that distraction loses its grip. Definite purpose is not a motivational poster. It is the stake in the ground that pulls every stray thought into orbit. Second, you will speak sentences that program your inner state. Auto-suggestion is the code you feed your operating system each morning, and when you repeat it with clarity and feeling, your subconscious rewrites the default response. Third, you will establish a rhythm so unyielding that your body obeys before your mind even considers rebellion. Repetition is the builder of automatic excellence. Fourth, you will claim the first minutes of daylight as sacred ground. Dawn decides the day. Silence before the world intrudes gives you first move, and first move sets the hierarchy. At the close, you will receive a ritual, a sequence you can perform in less than 10 minutes, yet one that recalibrates your entire nervous system. You will also receive a 30, 60, 90-day progression so you can audit your own transformation week by week without guessing. And before the final frame, you will hear the oath, first person, ironclad, the words you speak to seal your identity as the one who commands emotion instead of begging it for mercy. Let us begin. The sun has not yet crept over the roofline. You open your eyes. The room is gray. Your mind flickers on like an old monitor, and immediately the feed begins. Yesterday's argument, tomorrow's deadline, the email you did not send, the money you do not have. In seconds, your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your hands curl. This is the default state for most people, emotion in the driver's seat, thought scrambling to catch up, action delayed or distorted by whatever feeling arrived first. But you will not live this way. You will not spend another decade handing control to the loudest voice in your head. Instead, you will claim the reins, and the first rein you grip is purpose. Purpose is not a vague ambition scribbled on a napkin. It is not a wish list or a vision board. Purpose is a single definite aim, clear enough that you can say it in one sentence, specific enough that you know when you are moving toward it and when you are drifting away. Napoleon Hill called this the definite chief aim, and he insisted that until you define it, every decision becomes a negotiation with distraction. Without a target, emotion decides where you go. Fear says avoid. Anger says attack. Apathy says sleep. And because you have no filter, you obey all 3 in rotation, burning energy and producing nothing. But when you declare one mission, one outcome, you will pursue with relentless focus. Everything changes. The brain loves clarity. Give it a clear goal, and it begins to filter the noise. Opportunities that align with your purpose suddenly appear. Distractions lose their shine. Emotions still rise, but they no longer dictate. They become messengers. Fear warns you to prepare. Anger signals a boundary crossed. Apathy tells you to rest, not quit. And you, standing at the helm with your purpose in hand, decide which message deserves action. Write your purpose down. One sentence, 10 words or fewer if you can. Not what you hope might happen, but what you will make happen. Not what sounds impressive, but what pulls you out of bed. Once you have it, read it aloud every morning before you touch your phone. Let the sound of your own voice carry the command into your subconscious. This is not affirmation for the sake of feeling good. This is direction. This is the first stroke of the whip that tells emotion where to run. And when you read it, sit upright, spine straight, shoulders back, eyes forward. Posture is part of the code. The body hears what the mind commands, and when you speak from a position of strength, the words land deeper. Your nervous system registers the shift. The brain notes the ritual, and over days, over weeks, the repetition carves a groove so deep that even on the hardest mornings, your body sits up and your mouth speaks before your emotions can argue. Cut the rest. Everything that does not serve your purpose is noise. The podcasts that entertain but do not educate. The conversations that feel good but lead nowhere. The projects that sound exciting but scatter your energy. You are not here to do everything. You are here to do one thing so well that it changes the game. Every hour spent on secondary goals is an hour stolen from the mission, and stolen hours compound into stolen years. If you ignore this, you will wake up 10 years from now still juggling tasks that do not matter. You will serve the mood of the day. You will waste weeks on work that moves nothing. And when someone asks what you accomplished, you will list activities, not outcomes. That is the cost of living without a definite purpose. You become a servant to impulse, and impulse is a cruel master. Purpose cuts the noise. Purpose names the target. Purpose closes the door on everything else. And when you close the door, emotion stops begging for attention. It stands at attention, waiting for orders. When everything fights for your focus, declaring one mission, aligns your priorities, redirects your emotion, and eliminates the hidden cost of indecision. Indecision is expensive. Every moment you hesitate, your brain burns glucose debating options. Every morning you wake without direction, emotion fills the vacuum. And every day you scatter your effort, you pay the price in exhaustion and regret. But when you define your purpose and guard it like a contract, you stop paying that tax. The mind knows where to go. The emotion knows what to fuel. And the day unfolds not as a series of reactions, but as a sequence of deliberate moves. This is the first rein. Grip it. Do not let go. If you are truly here, if you are not just passing through, leave one word below. Ready. Presence creates identity. Every time you declare yourself, you carve a notch in the record. And the record is what you become. Now, a question to carry forward. If you had to name your purpose in 7 words, what would they be? Not what you wish, not what sounds noble. What pulls you out of bed when nothing else will? Hold that question. The answer will sharpen as we move deeper. The sentence sits on the page. Short, sharp, 7 words, maybe 8. You wrote it yesterday, or this morning, or 5 minutes ago. It does not matter when. What matters is that you speak it. Language is not decoration. Language is code. Every word you say to yourself is an instruction to your nervous system. Speak doubt, and your body tenses. Speak clarity, and your posture shifts. Hill understood this. He called it autosuggestion, the practice of feeding your subconscious. Deliberate commands so that when pressure arrives, your mind reaches for the script you installed, not the panic inherited from childhood. Most people let the world write their script. They wake to headlines designed to trigger fear. They scroll feeds engineered to provoke envy. They listen to voices that sow uncertainty. And by the time they sit down to work, their inner dialogue is already corrupted. The voice in their head is not theirs. It is an echo chamber of external noise, and that noise governs the day. But you will not live this way. You will write your own script. You will speak your own commands, and you will repeat them until they become the default response when emotion surges. This is how autosuggestion works. You choose one sentence that captures your core intention, not a paragraph, not a manifesto, one sentence. It might be, I move with clarity and purpose. It might be, I serve my mission, not my mood. It might be, I hold the reins. The exact words do not matter as much as the precision. The sentence must be specific enough that your brain knows what to do, and short enough that you can repeat it without stumbling. Write it down. Read it twice at dawn, once at dusk, not in your head. Out loud. Let your ears hear your voice. Let your throat feel the vibration. The body is part of the loop. When you engage multiple senses, sight, sound, sensation, the command sinks deeper. The subconscious does not argue with repetition. It records, it accepts, and after enough cycles, it executes without consulting you. This is not about lying to yourself. You are not pretending to be confident when you are terrified. You are installing a new pathway. Every time you speak the sentence, you light up a neural trail. The first time, it is faint. The 10th time, it glows. The 100th time, it becomes the main road. And when fear or anger or apathy tries to pull you off course, your brain defaults to the road you built, not the one your parents carved decades ago. Emotion is fast. Language is faster. When you train your mouth to speak a command before your chest can tighten, you interrupt the old pattern. The emotion still rises, but it does not take the wheel. It waits. And while it waits, you decide. You choose the response. You direct the force. Speak short. Speak firm. Speak early. Every morning, before the feed, before the news, before the first email, you sit upright and you say your sentence. Twice. Let the sound fill the room. Let it land in your chest. Then you move. You do not wait for motivation. You do not check if you feel like it. You move because the command was issued, and you are the one who issued it. If you ignore this, the feed and the fear will program your day for you. You will wake to someone else's agenda. You will scroll to someone else's priorities. And by the time you remember what you wanted to accomplish, half the day is gone and your energy is spent on tasks that serve no one. But if you commit to this practice, if you speak your command every dawn and every dusk, your inner dialogue shifts. The voice that used to say you are not ready begins to say you are learning. The voice that used to say it is too late begins to say there is time. The voice that used to say you failed begins to say you gathered data. The script changes, and when the script changes, the state changes. And when the state changes, the action changes. And when the action changes, the outcome changes. Repeating goal-oriented language conditions attention and reduces emotional fluctuation that sabotages decisions when pressure rises. Pressure does not care about your intentions. Pressure tests your programming. And if your programming is soft, if you have not installed clear commands, pressure will crack you. But if you have repeated your sentence 1,000 times, pressure finds steel. The mind reaches for the script you built, not the panic inherited from the past. And you hold. This is the second reign. Language steers will. Grip it. Speak it. Own it. You speak the sentence again. This time you feel the weight shift. Your shoulders drop half an inch. Your jaw unclenches. The emotion that was clawing at your chest a moment ago does not vanish. It steps back. It waits. And in that gap between surge and response, you reclaim control. This is not magic. This is mechanics. The brain runs on patterns, and patterns are built through repetition. Every time you speak your command with intention, you strengthen the connection between the word and the state. The word becomes a trigger, and the trigger, when pulled consistently, produces the same result. Clarity over chaos, direction over drift, command over capitulation. But here's the part most people miss. The sentence alone is not enough. You must speak it with feeling. Flat words produce flat results. If you read your command like you are reading a grocery list, your subconscious will treat it like a grocery list, forgettable, disposable, irrelevant. But if you speak it with conviction, if you let the emotion rise in your chest and color the words, the subconscious listens. It records not just the language, but the intensity. And when the storm comes, it will play back both. This is why posture matters. This is why voice matters. When you sit upright, when you speak with volume and cadence, you are signaling to your nervous system that this message is important. The body hears, the brain records, and the next time you face resistance, the memory of that moment, the posture, the voice, the feeling returns to support you. Think of it this way. You are writing a program for your mind. Every morning, you open the code editor and you type in the same command. At first, the program stutters. It does not know what to do. But after enough repetitions, the command becomes part of the operating system. It runs automatically. And when life throws an error, instead of crashing, the system executes the command you installed. This is how champions operate. They do not wait for inspiration. They do not hope the right emotion shows up. They install the script, they repeat the script, and they trust the script. On the days they feel invincible, the script runs. On the days they feel defeated, the script runs. The outcome is not left to chance or mood. It is the product of deliberate programming, and you can do this. You do not need a coach. You do not need permission. You need a sentence, a mirror, and the discipline to show up at the same time every day. Write the sentence. Stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eye. Speak the words. Let your voice carry the command into the room. Let your body register the shift, then walk away, and trust that the seed was planted. Over days, the seed takes root. Over weeks, it breaks the surface. Over months, it becomes a tree so tall that no storm can topple it. And that tree is your identity. The person who speaks commands and means them. The person who trains the mind and watches the emotions obey. If you skip this step, if you decide that words do not matter, or that affirmations are for someone else, you will remain at the mercy of whatever voice is loudest in your head. And the loudest voice is rarely the wisest. It is usually the oldest, the most frightened, the most wounded. It is the voice that learned to protect you when you were young and powerless. But you are not young anymore. You are not powerless. And that voice, while well-meaning, is no longer qualified to lead. You must install a new voice, a voice that speaks from clarity, not fear, a voice that commands from purpose, not panic. And the only way to install that voice is to repeat it until it becomes the default, until it is the first thing you hear when you wake, the steady hum beneath the noise, the anchor that holds when everything else is shaking. This is the discipline of autosuggestion, not positive thinking, not wishful hoping, but deliberate intentional programming of the mind through repeated language delivered with precision and emotion. It works. It has always worked, and it will work for you if you commit to the practice. So commit, choose your sentence. Speak it twice at dawn. Speak it once at dusk. Stand tall. Speak clear. Feel the shift, and trust that every repetition is a brick laid in the foundation of the person you are becoming. When you repeat language aligned with your goal, your brain conserves energy, reduces emotional friction, and delivers measurable consistency. This is not theory. This is observable fact. The more you repeat a pattern, the less effort it requires. The groove deepens, the resistance fades, and what once felt like pushing a boulder uphill becomes as natural as breathing. This is the second rain. You hold it now. Do not let it slip. The sentence is spoken, the command is delivered. But a command spoken once is a wish. A command spoken daily is a law. And law is built through repetition. You have heard this before. Consistency beats intensity. Small actions repeated outperform grand gestures executed once. These are not slogans. These are observations of how the brain constructs reality. The mind does not care about your intentions. It cares about your patterns. Show it a pattern, and it will build a highway. Break the pattern, and the highway cracks. Most people fail here. They start strong. They speak their command for 3 days, maybe a week. Then life intervenes. A meeting runs late. A child gets sick. A crisis demands attention, and the practice disappears. Not because they stopped believing, but because they did not protect the ritual. You will not make this mistake. You will shield your practice like you shield your paycheck. You will guard the time block like you guard your health, because without the ritual, everything else collapses. Purpose fades. Language loses power. Emotion reclaims the throne. And within weeks, you are back where you started, wondering why nothing sticks. The ritual must be non-negotiable, not flexible, not optional, non-negotiable. This does not mean you perform it at the same minute every day. Life does not allow that. But it does mean you perform it every day, no matter what. Before the world intrudes, before the feed loads, before the first conversation, you sit, you breathe, you speak, you move. Hill knew this, the ancients knew this. Every tradition that has produced excellence understood that the secret is not in the knowledge but in the practice. Information without repetition is entertainment. But information repeated until it becomes reflex is transformation. So here is the structure. You will anchor your practice to a trigger, not a time necessarily, but a moment. The moment your feet hit the floor, the moment you sit at the edge of the bed, the moment you see the first light through the window. Choose one trigger that happens every day without fail. Attach your practice to that trigger. And execute. The sequence is simple. Trigger fires. You sit, you breathe 3 times, slow and nasal. You speak your sentence twice, firm and clear. You visualize one action you will complete today that aligns with your purpose. 60 seconds, maybe 90. Then you stand and you move. This is not a meditation retreat. This is not a luxury. This is the minimum viable ritual that separates those who command their day from those who survive it. And the beauty of simplicity is that it has no excuse. You cannot claim you do not have time for 90 seconds. You cannot claim you are too tired to sit and breathe. You cannot claim you forgot, because the trigger is built into your morning. Repetition does not require motivation. It requires structure. Build the structure, and the structure carries you. On the days you feel strong, the structure holds you steady. On the days you feel weak, the structure holds you upright. Either way, you execute. Either way, you advance. And here is the truth no one tells you. Motivation is a lie. It is a pleasant lie, a seductive lie, but a lie nonetheless. Motivation is emotion dressed in ambition, and emotion is unreliable. Some days it shows up, some days it hides. If you wait for motivation to act, you will spend half your life waiting. But if you build a ritual, if you execute the same sequence at the same trigger every single day, you do not need motivation. The ritual becomes the motivation. The body learns. The brain anticipates. And when the trigger fires, you move before your mind can argue. This is how athletes train. This is how artists create. This is how builders build. They do not ask if they feel like it. They do not negotiate with the voice that says, tomorrow is fine. They show up. They execute. They trust the process. And the process, over time, delivers the result. If you ignore this, you will depend on motivation, and motivation will betray you. The first time you face real resistance, the first time the stakes rise, the first time fear digs its claws in, motivation will vanish. And if motivation is your foundation, you will crumble. But if your foundation is ritual, if your foundation is the daily, unyielding repetition of a simple practice, you will not crumble. You will hold. You will breathe. You will speak your command, and you will move forward, not because you feel strong, but because the ritual demands it. Lock the time block. Mark the trigger. Execute without negotiation. This is the creed. Ritual beats mood. Say it. Mean it. Live it. When practice occupies the same place and moment, the brain conserves energy, reduces emotional friction, and delivers consistency you can measure. This is not about perfection. This is about showing up. 85% compliance over 90 days will change your life more than one perfect week, followed by collapse. So track it. Mark the calendar. Every day you execute, you mark it. Every day you miss, you leave it blank. At the end of the week, you count. If you hit 6 out of 7, you are winning. If you hit 5, you are holding ground. If you hit 3 or less, you are drifting, and you need to recommit. This is not punishment. This is feedback. The calendar does not lie. It shows you the truth. And the truth is that your future is being written in the blank squares and the marked ones. Every blank square is a vote for the old version of you. Every marked square is a vote for the new one. And the version that gets more votes wins. You are casting votes every day. Cast them wisely. This is the third reign, repetition. The builder of automatic excellence, the force that turns intention into identity. Grip it, guard it. Let nothing break the rhythm. The rhythm holds. Day 1 becomes day 7. Day 7 becomes day 30. And somewhere in the repetition, something shifts. You stop thinking about the practice. You stop debating whether to do it. You simply do it. The trigger fires, the body responds, and the ritual unfolds without friction. This is the zone you are building toward. Not perfection, but automaticity. Not motivation, but momentum. And momentum is the silent amplifier. The first day, the practice costs you effort. The 10th day, it costs you less. The 50th day, it costs almost nothing. By day 90, the practice is cheaper than skipping it. Your nervous system has accepted the pattern. Your identity has absorbed the rhythm. And what once required willpower now requires only presence. But here is where most people stumble. They mistake comfort for completion. They think that because the practice feels easy, they can relax the standard. They start to skip. They start to shorten. They tell themselves 1 day does not matter, 2 days is fine, 3 days is still manageable. And before they realize it, the ritual is gone. The groove has filled with weeds, and the emotional chaos they work so hard to tame comes roaring back. Do not fall into this trap. Comfort is not the enemy. Complacency is. When the practice feels easy, that is the signal to protect it even more fiercely. Because ease is the reward for consistency, and consistency only endures when you guard it like treasure. Think of the ritual as a fire. In the beginning, you must feed it constantly. You must shield it from wind. You must tend it with care. But over time, the fire grows strong. The flames rise high. The heat spreads wide. And once the fire is roaring, it requires less fuel to maintain, but it still requires fuel. Stop feeding it, and it dies. And rebuilding a dead fire is far harder than maintaining a living one. So keep feeding the fire. Keep marking the calendar. Keep showing up at the trigger. Even on the days when the practice feels automatic, execute with intention. Speak the command like you mean it. Breathe like it matters. Visualize with clarity, because the moment you phone it in, the moment you go through the motions without engagement, the practice begins to hollow out. And a hollow practice is a brittle practice. It will snap the first time pressure tests it. You are not here to build a habit that lasts 90 days. You are here to build a habit that lasts a lifetime. And lifetime habits are not built on intensity. They are built on relentless, boring, unglamorous repetition. Day after day, week after week, month after month. No fanfare, no applause. Just you, the trigger, the breath, the command, the action. This is the unsexy truth of mastery. It is not a single breakthrough moment. It is 1,000 small moments stacked so high that they become a mountain, and you are building that mountain one breath at a time. Now, let us address the doubt that is creeping in. You are wondering if this is enough. You are wondering if a 90-second ritual can truly shift a life. You are wondering if you need something more complex, more sophisticated, more impressive. You do not. Complexity is the refuge of the uncommitted. People who cannot commit to a simple practice convince themselves they need a complicated one. They need the commit 7-step process, the 12-week program, the certification course. And while they are searching for the perfect system, the person with the simple ritual is already 10 steps ahead. The power is not in the complexity. The power is in the consistency. A simple practice executed daily will outperform a complex practice executed sporadically every single time. And the reason is this: the brain does not reward sophistication. It rewards repetition. The more times you light up a neural pathway, the stronger that pathway becomes. And a strong pathway is a fast pathway. A fast pathway is an automatic pathway. And an automatic pathway is the foundation of effortless excellence. So stop searching for the perfect practice. You already have it. Trigger, breath, command, visualization, action. That is the sequence. Guard it, repeat it, trust it. And if you are still not convinced, if you still think you need more proof, consider this. Every great athlete, every great artist, every great leader has a ritual. It might look different. It might use different words. But the structure is the same. They anchor their preparation to a trigger. They repeat the same sequence. They trust the process even when the outcome is uncertain. And over time, the process produces the result. You are no different. You have the same brain. You have the same capacity. The only question is whether you will commit to the process long enough to see the result. And the answer to that question is being written in the squares on your calendar. Mark the squares. Guard the ritual. Let the repetition compound. And when you look back 6 months from now, you will not recognize the person you were when you started. Not because you had a revelation, but because you showed up every single day and let the practice reshape you. This is the third rein. It is in your hand. Do not drop it. But even with the reins in hand, even with the ritual in place, there is still one question left unanswered. When do you execute? When do you claim the moment that shifts the entire day? The answer is simple. Dawn. Not because dawn is magical, but because dawn is first, and first is everything. The first hour of the day is the only hour you truly own. By the second hour, the world has arrived. The emails are piling, the calls are coming, the demands are mounting, and if you have not already claimed your mental ground, the world will claim it for you. You will spend the day responding, reacting, defending, and by sunset, you will have worked hard and accomplished little, because none of the work was yours. It was all borrowed urgency from someone else's agenda. But if you rise before the world intrudes, if you claim the first minutes of daylight as sacred ground, you set the tone. You establish the hierarchy. You tell your mind, your body, and your nervous system that you are the priority, not the inbox, not the feed, not the noise. You. This is not selfishness. This is survival. Because if you do not command the first hour, you will spend the rest of the day being commanded. And a day spent being commanded is a day spent adrift. Dawn decides the day. This is not metaphor. This is mechanics. The brain is most receptive in the first minutes after waking. The neural gates are open. The filters are soft. Whatever you feed the mind in that window sinks deep. If you feed it anxiety, if you reach for your phone and scroll the news, you install anxiety as the baseline. Your cortisol spikes, your shoulders tense, and you carry that tension into every conversation, every decision, every moment. But if you feed the mind clarity, if you sit in silence, breathe with intention, and speak your command, you install clarity as the baseline. Your nervous system calms, your focus sharpens, and you carry that calm into the chaos, meeting each challenge not with panic but with presence. The ancients understood this. Monastic traditions across the world built their schedules around the pre-dawn hour, not because they were spiritual, because they were strategic. They knew that the mind shaped in silence before the sun rises is a mind that holds steady when the storm arrives. Hill mapped the same principle into his system. He called it the master mind hour, the time when you meet with yourself review your purpose, and align your intention. He did not suggest doing this at lunch or before bed. He insisted on the morning, because morning is the fulcrum. Shift the morning, and the entire day pivots. So here is the structure. You will wake before the world, not necessarily at 5, not necessarily at 6, but before the phone buzzes, before the first email, before the first demand. You will sit upright at the edge of the bed. You will plant your feet on the floor. You will breathe 3 times, slow and deep. You will speak your command twice, firm and clear. You will close your eyes and visualize one action you will complete today, and then you will stand and move. This is the dawn ritual. It is not long, it is not complicated, but it is non-negotiable, because this is the moment when you take first move. And first move sets the hierarchy for everything that follows. If you ignore this, if you wake and immediately reach for distraction, you surrender first move. You let the world dictate the opening, and once the world has the opening, it will dominate the rest of the game. You will spend the day playing defense. You will react instead of create. You will survive instead of thrive. And by the time you remember what you wanted to accomplish, the day is gone and your energy is spent. But if you claim the dawn, if you execute the ritual before the world arrives, you own the opening. You set the agenda. You establish the tone. And the world, when it finally intrudes, finds you already centered, already clear, already in motion. It cannot knock you off balance because you are already standing firm. Silence early. Command short. Walk first. These are the 3 principles of the dawn ritual. Silence protects focus. Command directs energy. Action proves commitment. And together, they form the foundation of a day that belongs to you, not to the chaos. The first block of attention, guarded and directed, establishes hierarchy over emotion and imposes invisible order on the calendar. This is not about controlling every minute. This is about controlling the first minute, because the first minute is the seed, and the seed, when planted in good soil and watered with intention, grows into a day that matters. So protect the dawn. Guard it like you guard your health. Shield it like you shield your income, because the dawn is the gateway, and whoever controls the gateway controls the territory. This is the 4th reign, dawn. The moment of first command, the pivot between chaos and clarity. Grip it, claim it, own it. Now we arrive at the center, the place where principle becomes practice, where theory becomes sweat, where words become ritual. You have the reins, you know the sequence, but knowing is not enough. You must perform. And performance requires a map, a structure so clear that even on the hardest mornings, you can execute without thinking. This is the ritual, not a suggestion, not a guideline, a ritual, a sequence you will perform every day for the next 90 days, and if it serves you, for the rest of your life. Before the sun clears the roof line, you will rise. The room is still gray. The air is cool. You sit at the edge of the bed, feet planted on the floor, spine straight. You do not check the time. You do not reach for the phone. You simply sit. You breathe 3 times. In through the nose, slow and deep, filling the belly first, then the chest. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. Out through the mouth, slow and complete, emptying the chest first, then the belly. Repeat. 3 cycles. This is not meditation. This is preparation. You are clearing the static, resetting the nervous system, creating space for the command. After the 3rd breath, you speak. Your command, the sentence you wrote, 8 to 12 words, not in your head, out loud. Your voice fills the room. You do not mumble. You do not rush. You speak with clarity, with intention, with the certainty of someone who is issuing an order, not making a request. You speak at once, then you pause. You let the words settle. You feel them land in your chest, in your gut, in the base of your spine, and then you speak it again. This time, you let emotion color the words, not fake emotion, real emotion. The feeling of what it will be like when the day unfolds according to your design. The feeling of holding the reins, the feeling of calm command. Your posture does not slouch, your eyes do not drift. You sit tall, you speak firm, and you let the body register the shift. After the second repetition, you close your eyes, you visualize. Not a fantasy, not a daydream. One specific action you will complete today. You see yourself doing it. You see the environment. You see your hands moving. You see the result. You do not rush this. You give it 60 seconds, maybe 90. You let the image become vivid. You let the emotion build. And when the image is clear, you open your eyes. You stand. You do not sit and scroll. You do not linger. You stand and you move. You walk to the window. You drink water. You begin the first task. It does not matter what the task is. What matters is that you move from the ritual into action without hesitation. The gap between command and execution must be short. The shorter the gap, the stronger the link. And the link, over time, becomes automatic. This is the sequence. Breathe, speak, visualize, move. 5 minutes, maybe 7. That is all. But those 5 minutes are the fulcrum. They are the moment when you reclaim control. And every day you execute this sequence, you strengthen the pathway between intention and action. Now, the rhythm. You will not perform this ritual once and call it done. You will perform it for 30 days without missing. Not 29, 30. And at the end of 30 days, you will audit. You will review the calendar. You will count the marked squares. And if you hit 25 or more, you advance to the next phase. Phase 2 is 60 days, same ritual, same sequence. But now you add one element. At the end of each day, before you sleep, you will write one sentence, one piece of evidence that you held the reins today. Not a judgment, not a critique, just evidence. I spoke clearly in the meeting. I walked instead of scrolling. I finished the task I visualized. One sentence. That is all. This is not a journal. This is a ledger. You are tracking obedience, not to a rule, but to yourself. Every sentence you write is proof that the ritual is working, and proof compounds. By the end of 60 days, you will have 60 pieces of evidence, 60 moments when emotion waited and command led, and those 60 moments will have rewritten your identity. Phase 3 is 90 days, same ritual, same ledger. But now you add accountability. Once a week, on Sunday evening, you will review the week. You will count the marked squares. You will read the evidence, and you will ask one question. Am I obeying faster than I am resisting? If the answer is yes, you continue. If the answer is no, you adjust. Not by adding complexity, by removing friction. Maybe the trigger needs to shift. Maybe the command needs to sharpen. Maybe the visualization needs to focus. You adjust and you continue. This is the progression. 30, 60, 90. By the end of 90 days, the ritual is no longer something you do. It is something you are. The person who rises before the world. The person who speaks commands and means them. The person who holds the reins and does not let go. And here is the truth. The body needs to feel the order. When emotion meets gesture and image, the brain carves a preferred pathway and executes with less friction. This is not theory. This is neuroscience. Every time you perform the ritual with full engagement, breath, voice, posture, visualization, you are writing code into your nervous system. And the code, when written clearly and repeated consistently, becomes the operating system. So do not phone it in. Do not go through the motions. Engage. Feel the breath. Hear the voice. See the image. Let the emotion rise. And trust that every repetition is a line of code that brings you closer to the person who commands emotion instead of begging it for mercy. This is the ritual. Simple. Powerful. Yours. The ritual is set. The structure is clear. But structure alone will not carry you through the storm. You need something deeper. You need the dissolution of doubt, because doubt will come, it always does. You will wake on day 7, and the voice will whisper, "This is taking too long." You will wake on day 14, and the voice will say, "You are not seeing results." You will wake on day 21, and the voice will insist, "This is not working." And if you are not prepared, if you have not already built the counter-argument, that voice will win. It will convince you to skip. It will convince you to quit. It will convince you that the ritual was never real, that the effort was wasted, that you are simply not built for this kind of discipline. But you are. You absolutely are. And the voice is lying. Let us dismantle the objections now, before they arrive. Because forewarned is forearmed, and you will not be caught unprepared. The first objection: I do not have time in the morning. This is the most common lie people tell themselves. They claim their mornings are too full, too rushed, too chaotic. They have children to feed, commutes to catch, obligations that cannot wait. And so they convince themselves that the ritual is impossible. But the ritual is not long. It is 5 minutes, maybe 7. And if you truly do not have 5 minutes, then you do not have a schedule problem, you have a priority problem, because everyone has 5 minutes. They simply choose to spend it scrolling, snoozing, or staring into the void. The truth is this: the ritual does not require more time. It requires different time. You are not adding 5 minutes to your morning. You are replacing 5 minutes of distraction with 5 minutes of direction, and that replacement is the entire game. If you wake and reach for your phone, you are spending 5 minutes anyway. You are spending it on someone else's agenda. The news, the feed, the notifications, none of it serves you. All of it drains you, and by the time you put the phone down, your nervous system is already hijacked, your cortisol is spiked, your focus is scattered, and the day has not even begun. But if you wake and reach for the ritual instead, those same 5 minutes install calm, clarity, and command. The math is not complicated. Same time, different result, and the result compounds. So the objection is not about time, it is about choice. And if you choose distraction over discipline, that is your right. But do not pretend you do not have time. You have time. You are simply spending it poorly. The second objection: I do not have the willpower. This one is insidious because it sounds humble. It sounds like self-awareness, but it is not. It is surrender, dressed as honesty. Willpower is not a fixed resource. It is a trained capacity, and like any capacity, it grows through use. The first time you perform the ritual, it will cost you effort. The 10th time, it will cost you less. The 100th time, it will cost almost nothing, because the pathway has been carved, the pattern has been set, and the nervous system has accepted the sequence. But if you never start because you believe you lack willpower, you guarantee that you will never build it. This is the trap. You wait for willpower to arrive before you act, but willpower only arrives through action. So you must act first. You must execute the ritual even when it feels hard, even when the voice says, "You cannot," even when every part of you wants to stay in bed. And here's the secret. You do not need willpower for 5 minutes. You need willpower for 5 seconds. The 5 seconds between the trigger and the start of the ritual. If you can sit up in those 5 seconds, the rest unfolds. The breath happens. The command is spoken. The visualization appears. And before you know it, the ritual is complete and you are standing. So stop waiting for willpower. Start building it. One 5-second decision at a time. The third objection. This is just positive thinking. It does not work. This objection comes from people who have been burned by empty affirmations. They have stood in front of the mirror and chanted, "I am successful, I am wealthy, I am confident," while feeling none of it. And when nothing changed, they concluded that the entire practice is nonsense. But they were doing it wrong. Affirmations without action are fantasy. Affirmations without emotion are noise. And affirmations without repetition are forgotten by noon. The ritual you are building is not positive thinking, it is directed programming. You are not pretending to feel something you do not feel. You are installing a command so that when pressure arrives, your mind reaches for the script you built instead of the panic you inherited. And the ritual does not stop at words, it demands action. You visualize the task, you stand and move, you execute. The command is not complete until the body obeys, and that obedience, repeated daily, is what rewrites the pattern. So if you have been burned by affirmations before, understand this: you were not using the full system. You were using one piece, and one piece is not enough. But the full system command, emotion, visualization, action, repetition, works. It has always worked, and it will work for you. The fourth objection: my past is too heavy. I have tried before and failed. This is the objection of the wounded, and it deserves compassion, because yes, you have tried before. Yes, you have failed before, and yes, the memory of that failure is heavy. But the past is not a prophecy, it is data. And data, when interpreted correctly, becomes instruction. Every past failure contains a lesson. Maybe you tried to do too much. Maybe you skipped the structure. Maybe you quit too soon. Whatever the reason, the failure was not proof that you are incapable. It was proof that the method was incomplete. But now you have the full method. You have the trigger. You have the sequence. You have the progression. And most importantly, you have the understanding that the ritual is not a sprint. It is a rhythm. And rhythms are built through patience, not intensity. So the question is not whether you have failed before. The question is whether you are willing to try again with better tools. And if the answer is yes, then the past is irrelevant. It is data. Learn from it, adjust, and move forward. The fifth objection: I need to see results now. This is the objection of impatience. And impatience is the enemy of transformation, because transformation is not a switch, it is a curve. The first days produce little visible change. The first weeks might feel like spinning wheels, but beneath the surface, the neural pathways are forming, the patterns are setting, the identity is shifting, and then, somewhere around day 30, the curve bends, the results begin to appear. Not because day 30 is magic, but because the compound interest of daily repetition finally crosses the threshold of visibility. And once the curve bends, it accelerates. Day 60 is easier than day 30. Day 90 is easier than day 60. And by day 100, the ritual is so integrated that skipping it feels wrong. But you will never reach day 100 if you quit on day 10 because you do not see results. So stop looking for immediate proof. Trust the process. Mark the calendar. Execute the ritual. And let the curve do its work. These are the 5 objections: time, willpower, positive thinking, past failure, impatience, and every one of them is a lie, not a lie you are telling others, a lie you are telling yourself. And the only way to dissolve the lie is to confront it, name it, and replace it with truth. The truth is this: you have time. You are building willpower. The ritual is not fantasy. The past does not define you, and results are coming, even when you cannot see them yet. Hold that truth. Speak it when the objection arrives, and do not let the voice steal what you are building. Now, let us turn to the system, because the ritual is the daily act, but the system is the structure that makes the daily act sustainable. A system is not a habit. A habit is something you do. A system is something that ensures you keep doing it. And without a system, even the best habit will collapse under pressure. The system has 3 components: time, tracking, accountability. First, time. You must carve out a protected block every morning, not a flexible window. A protected block. This means you go to bed 15 minutes earlier so you can wake 15 minutes earlier. This means you set the alarm and place the phone across the room so you cannot snooze. This means you prepare the night before, clothes laid out, water bottle filled, space cleared so that when morning arrives there is no friction. Friction is the silent killer of rituals. Every decision you have to make in the morning is a chance to quit. Should I get up? Should I do this now or later? Should I skip today? Each question drains willpower. And if you drain enough willpower before the ritual even begins, you will not have enough left to execute. So, remove the decisions, automate the setup, make the path so smooth that the only choice left is to walk it. Second, tracking. You must have a visible record of your performance. This is not optional. The calendar is the mirror. It shows you the truth. And the truth is either motivating or correcting, but it is always useful. Buy a physical calendar. Hang it on the wall. Every day you execute the ritual. Mark the square with a bold X. Do not use an app. Do not use a digital tracker. Use paper and ink, because the physical act of marking the square is part of the ritual. It is the moment when you acknowledge the win, and acknowledgement reinforces the pattern. At the end of each week, count the marks. If you hit 6 or 7, you are on pace. If you hit 5, you are holding ground. If you hit 4 or less, you are slipping and you need to troubleshoot. What broke? Where did the friction appear? How can you adjust? The calendar does not judge, it informs, and information, when acted upon, is power. Third, accountability. You cannot do this alone, not forever. You need a second set of eyes, someone who knows what you are building and who will ask you, once a week, how it is going. This does not need to be a coach or a mentor. It can be a friend. It can be a partner. It can be someone in the comments section of this video. What matters is that they know your commitment, and they know your target, and they check in. The check-in is simple. One question: did you hit your target this week? If yes, celebrate. If no, adjust. That is all. No lectures, no shame. Just feedback and recalibration. And if you do not have someone to check in with, then create a public declaration. Post your target. Share your calendar. Let the audience hold the line. Because once you declare publicly, the cost of quitting rises. And when the cost rises, compliance rises. This is the system: time, tracking, accountability. 3 components that transform a fragile habit into a durable structure. And durable structures survive storms. So build the system, protect the time, track the marks, invite accountability, and let the system carry you through the days when the ritual feels hard, because it will feel hard. There will be mornings when the bed feels warm and the ritual feels cold. There will be weeks when the calendar shows more blanks than marks, and there will be moments when you wonder if any of this matters. It does. Every mark matters. Every execution matters. Every 5-minute ritual is a brick laid in the foundation of the person you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is someone who commands emotion, who holds the reins, who rises before the world and sets the tone for the day. That person is not born. That person is built, brick by brick, day by day, through the system. So commit to the system, trust the system, and let the system deliver the result. The system is in place, the structure is clear, but structure without soul is hollow, and soul, in this context, is ownership. The deep cellular understanding that this ritual is not something you are trying, it is something you are becoming. Ownership is not declared, it is earned. Every morning you rise before the alarm, you earn a piece of it. Every time you speak the command when your voice wants to stay silent, you earn a piece of it. Every time you mark the calendar when you would rather skip, you earn a piece of it. And over weeks, over months, those pieces fuse into identity. Identity is the end game. Not behavior, not results. Identity. Because behavior is what you do, but identity is who you are. And who you are determines what you do when no one is watching, when the stakes are high, when the pressure mounts. Most people chase behavior. They want to act disciplined. They want to appear focused. They want to seem in control. But behavior without identity is performance, and performance is exhausting. It requires constant effort, constant vigilance, constant willpower. And the moment the willpower depletes, the performance collapses. But identity is different. Identity does not require effort. It requires alignment. When you see yourself as someone who commands emotion, you do not need to force the ritual. You simply execute it. Because that is what people like you do. The ritual is not a task on a checklist. It is an expression of who you are. And the shift from behavior to identity happens quietly. You do not wake up one morning and suddenly feel different. You wake up one morning and realize that the ritual no longer feels hard. It feels necessary. Skipping, it feels wrong. The way skipping a meal or skipping sleep feels wrong. Not because someone told you it is wrong, but because your body knows it needs it. This is ownership. This is when the ritual stops being something you do and becomes something you are. And once you cross that line, the game changes. You are no longer trying to hold the reins. You are the one who holds them, always, automatically, without question. But ownership is not passive. It does not arrive simply because you waited long enough. Ownership is forged through micro-decisions. The decision to sit up when the bed is warm. The decision to speak when your throat is dry. The decision to mark the calendar when you are tired. Each micro-decision is a vote, and the votes compound. Think of it this way. Every day, you are running an election inside your own mind. Two candidates. The old version of you, the one who reacts, who drifts, who serves emotion. And the new version of you, the one who commands, who directs, who holds the reins. Every time you execute the ritual, you cast a vote for the new version. Every time you skip, you cast a vote for the old version. And the version with the most votes wins. The election never ends. Even after 90 days, even after a year, the votes keep coming, but the margin widens. The new version pulls ahead, and eventually the old version stops campaigning. It fades into the background. It becomes a memory, not a contender. So keep voting. Keep casting your ballot every morning through the ritual. And trust that the cumulative weight of your votes will tip the scale. Now, here is the part most people miss. Ownership is not only about you, it is about what you leave behind. Because the ritual you are building is not just for your benefit. It is a blueprint, a map, a proof that transformation is possible. Every person who watches you rise early, who hears you speak with clarity, who sees you hold steady when the storm arrives, is learning. They may not say it, they may not even realize it, but they are watching. And what they see becomes permission. Permission to try. Permission to build their own ritual. Permission to believe that they too can command emotion instead of being commanded by it. This is the hidden power of ownership. It radiates, it influences, it teaches without speaking. And the more deeply you own your practice, the more powerfully it affects the people around you. So do not think of this as a private project. Think of it as a public service. You are building a fire, and fires, when built well, spread. Not by force, not by preaching, but by warmth. People are drawn to the warmth, and once they are close enough, they see the structure. They see the wood, the spark, the patience, and they realize they can build their own. This is legacy, not what you accumulate, what you demonstrate. And the demonstration begins in the quiet moments before dawn when no one is watching except you. Those moments are the foundation, and the foundation, when built with care, supports generations. So own it. Own the ritual. Own the practice. Own the identity, not for applause, not for recognition, but because ownership is the only way to make it last, and lasting is the only way to make it matter. We are nearing the close. The structure is built. The objections are dissolved. The system is in place. But before you step into the fire, before you commit to the 90 days, there is one final element, the mirror. Not a physical mirror, a mental one. A set of reflections, 11 lines that you will speak to yourself at the end of each week. These lines are not affirmations. They are not motivational quotes. They are truths, hard truths, the kind that cut through noise and expose what is real. You will speak these lines on Sunday evening, after you review the calendar, after you count the marks. You will sit in the same place where you perform the morning ritual. You will breathe 3 times, and then you will speak, one line at a time, pausing between each to let it settle. Here are the 11 lines. I chose this. No one forced me. This is my design. The calendar does not lie. The marks show the truth. Every blank square is a vote for the old version. Every marked square is a vote for the new. I do not need permission to command my life. I already have it. The ritual is not complete until the body obeys. Words without action are wind. Emotion is not the enemy. Emotion is the horse. I am the rider. The reins are always in my hand. If I drop them, I pick them up. Immediately. I do not compare my day 1 to someone else's day 1,000. I compare my today to my yesterday. Consistency beats intensity. The slowest progress is still progress. I am not waiting for motivation. I am building discipline. And discipline does not negotiate. The person I am becoming is forged in the mornings I do not feel like rising. Those mornings matter most. Speak these lines. Let them land. Do not rush. Do not skip. Each line is a recalibration, a reset, a reminder of what you are building and why it matters. And after the 11th line, sit in silence for 1 minute. Let the weight settle. Let the commitment solidify. Then stand, mark the week as reviewed, and prepare for the next 7 days. This is the mirror. It does not flatter. It does not comfort. It reflects. And reflection, when done with honesty, is the most powerful tool for growth, because you cannot change what you do not see, and the mirror shows you everything. So use it every week, without fail. Let the 11 lines become the soundtrack of your transformation, and over time, you will notice something strange. The lines will stop feeling like external commands. They will start feeling like internal truth, because you will have lived them so many times that they are no longer aspirations. They are descriptions. This is the final piece, the mirror, the reflection. The truth spoken in your own voice to your own ears. Add it to the system, guard it like you guard the ritual, and let it keep you honest when the path gets hard. Now, the close. You have the reins. You know the sequence. You have the ritual, the system, the mirror. Everything you need is in your hands. The only question left is whether you will use it, and that question is not for me to answer. It is for you. Not in words, in action. Not tomorrow, today. So here is the final command, the order that seals everything we have built. You will execute this within 24 hours. Not when you feel ready. Not when the conditions are perfect. Within 24 hours, tonight, before you sleep, you will sit at the edge of your bed. You will write your command, the sentence that captures your definite purpose. 8 to 12 words, clear, direct, undeniable. You will write it by hand, not typed, by hand. Because the act of writing engages the nervous system in a way typing does not. The hand moves, the brain records, the memory deepens. After you write it, you will read it aloud 3 times, firm, clear, with feeling. And then you will place the paper somewhere you will see it when you wake, on the nightstand, on the pillow, taped to the mirror. It does not matter where, as long as it is the first thing you see. Tomorrow morning, when you wake, you will not reach for the phone. You will not check the time. You will sit up, you will see the paper, and you will execute the ritual. Breathe, speak, visualize, move. 5 minutes, that is all. But those 5 minutes are the beginning, the first mark on the calendar, the first vote for the new version. And after you execute, you will comment below with 1 word, done. Not to prove anything to me, to prove it to yourself, because the senjus, declaration is part of the ritual, and the ritual is part of the identity. This is the order. 24 hours, 1 sentence, 1 execution, 1 word. Do it. Do not think about it. Do not plan for the perfect moment. Do it now, because now is the only moment that matters. Tomorrow is a concept, next week is a fantasy. Now is real, and real is where transformation lives. Let me close with this. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble into this moment. You arrived because something inside you is stirring. A whisper, a pull, a quiet certainty that you are capable of more than you have been living. And that whisper is correct. But whispers do not change lives. Action changes lives. And action begins with a single step, taken in the dark, before the world wakes, before the doubts arrive, before the excuses pile up. The grit on your tongue, the coil in your gut, the heat behind your eyes reveal who truly holds the reins. Most days, your emotions yank the bridle, fear surges, anger spikes, apathy sinks you. Train your mind daily, and those same forces kneel. The ancients called it dominion. Hill mapped it into habit, auto-suggestion, definite purpose, relentless repetition. Begin where others make excuses. Dawn, silence. Command your thought in short, iron sentences. Do this, and your emotions become messengers, not masters. Your days align, your fortune obeys, and opportunities step forward when you speak. The reins are in your hand. They have always been in your hand. You simply forgot. Or you were told they belonged to someone else. Or you were convinced that emotion was too strong to tame. But none of that is true. Emotion is not your master, it is your servant. And servants, when trained, are loyal. So train them. Rise before the sun. Speak your command. Visualize your action. Move forward. Mark the calendar. Review the week. Speak the 11 lines. And do it again and again and again until the ritual is no longer something you do, but something you are. This is not a promise of ease. This is a promise of alignment. When the mind commands and the emotion obeys, life does not become simple. It becomes navigable. The storms still come. The challenges still rise. But you hold steady. You breathe. You speak. You act. And you move forward, not because the path is clear, but because you are clear. That clarity is the prize. That clarity is the freedom. That clarity is the life you were meant to live. So go, execute, build, own, and let your results make the noise the world cannot ignore. I hold the reins. My mind gives the order. My emotion serves. This is the oath. Speak it now. Mean it. Live it. The dawn is waiting.